McCarthy Insurance Group, serving the community for over 70 years. For home, farm, motor, life, health and business insurance, log on to mig.ie or free phone 1800 50 11 11. Probably your best call in 2024. Charles McCarthy Insurance is trading as McCarthy Insurance Group, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.
Hi, Niall. I'm going to lose my mind with my family. 2 years ago, we got a staff pup, and he's adorable. Charlie is the most loving dog in the world, and the kids love him so much. I have 3 children, and they're all under 10. Do you know where this is going yet? Some people might be guessing. Every weekend, we go to my mother-in-law's, and we bring the dog. Even though she's a bitch and she's never liked the dog. Well, that's nice. Charlie gets put out the back most of the time, and she hates him in the house. Anyway, my youngest was messing with the dog and annoying him. And he turned on her. And my mother-in-law went to grab the child. And in her stupidity, she kicked off Charlie. And he turned on her and bit her leg. Okay, I'm not going to deny it. The bite looked worse than it actually was. But she ended up with 5 stitches. And I'm sure it was sore. 2 weeks ago, she was on the phone to my husband. And she's now saying she wants Charlie put to sleep. And she's genuinely threatened to report us. The hospital seemingly wanted a report for the police because they said they had to report dog attacks because they had an obligation to. And she gave Charlie's name and the owner, i.e. us. I told my husband I'll get her put down before Charlie. And now he's sympathising with the old bitch and agreeing that Charlie is a risk to the kids, which is nonsense. He's adorable and he wouldn't harm a fly. Well, you just said he wouldn't harm a fly. He bit your mother-in-law, didn't he? And he went for the child. Anyway, so clearly he would harm a fly. My husband is now really cool with me all of the time and said that I'm protecting a dangerous dog, and he's not okay with that. He now puts Charlie outside when I'm in work and he's at home, and he keeps the kids away from the dog. My husband is insisting I bring the dog to the vet, and it's caused a huge row in the family. I don't know what to do. I know what to do. But I'll leave my thoughts on this till a little bit later on, and you can give me your thoughts. Is the husband right and the mother-in-law? Should Charlie be put to sleep? Or should Charlie be let away with this one? You know what I mean? Be given parole. Let me know what you think. The number is 087 188 0008. That's 087 188 0008. What should they do? Should Charlie be put to sleep? 087 188 0008. Right. Let me go to Deirdre. Deirdre, Deirdre, can you lower down your radio?
I can, yeah. How are you, Niall?
I'm great. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm no bother. I was in hospital, Niall. I got the second hip done. I'm grand, you know.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful, Deirdre.
Yeah.
So,
no, you're on about
dog.
You're on about dogs there, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
Deirdre, you're going to have to lower down your radio in the background because you're listening to the radio and you're not listening to the phone. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. Now I have it down now.
Yeah. Okay.
No. As you know, I got a bad bite of a dog years ago.
Oh, that's right. A Labrador bit you, wasn't it?
A Labrador bit me. Like, I mean, if you can't trust, honest to God, Niall, you can't trust a dog. You can't trust a dog.
Well, you can't trust a Labrador. You can't trust anything.
Well, you can't trust any dog. That's the truth.
Yeah. Well,
any dog.
This is true. Yeah.
You can't trust any dog, and especially when you have children in the house.
Yeah.
You know, you just cannot. I mean, if a dog bites you once, Niall, it's going to do it again.
I think you're probably right. If a dog is willing to bite somebody, and don't get me wrong, you know, if the dog is annoyed, they can turn a little bit on somebody. But if a dog bites somebody, you're right. It's probably going to do it again. He's going to do it again. A dog is going to do it again. It's just unfortunate I got a bite of a dog and it didn't. The dog was never got. The dog just went. It was a stray that ran after you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He went after me and he gave me gave me some doing, and only that I had him in a lock. I don't know what I'd have done. He'd have taken the whole arm off me. I know. You ended up in hospital, didn't you? I ended up in hospital. I was in Our Lady's Hospital in Navan. It's a brilliant hospital. And only for that hospital, I wouldn't be talking to you today. I wouldn't be alive
because I went to, the consultant said it was very bad. My arm, there was under my arm, it was blood poison.
Oh, right.
Now, that had to go to my heart, it killed me.
Yeah, sepsis. Yeah, you would have got sepsis because you would.
It was sepsis. Oh, I died.
Yeah,
only for that hospital. I don't know. I couldn't thank them enough for that Navan hospital. It's a brilliant hospital, and they need to keep it open. It saved my life anyway.
And how are you now, by the way? How's your arm now?
My arm is grand, Niall. I just have a scar on it, but I've no pain or ache, thank God. I just have a big scar. I'll have a scar for the rest of my life. But I'm lucky to have an arm.
Do you feel sorry do you feel sorry for this little dog, Charlie?
Well, I do and I don't, Niall. But I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, they should have it. They shouldn't have a dog. If they have a dog, they should have him under control.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was after biting. I mean, if that was a child, my God, what would he have done?
Oh, he could have done some serious damage, couldn't he? Yeah, could have, absolutely.
Could have done serious damage. Like, dogs can do serious damage, Niall.
Oh, they can?
They really can do serious.
Yeah.
Serious. I know all about it.
Yeah, well, you do, obviously, because you've been there, bought the T-shirt, so to speak. Yeah.
I went through all that, and it's just horrific. Anyone that gets attacked by a dog, you know.
Yeah, no, I get you. Stay there for a second, because I got to go to Patricia. Patricia, how you doing? You're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. So, poor Deirdre. Sorry, Patricia, go ahead.
There's a question there. Is the husband now putting the dog outside, is he?
Did the husband what?
Is he putting the dog outside?
He's putting the dog outside now when she's at work because the husband is worried that the dog might bite the kids.
Okay. For the dog bit, was the dog in with the children?
Yeah.
Was in.
He's 2 years. They only have him 2 years. He's only a young dog, you know.
Yeah, but some must aggravate a dog to do that. But if you bring the dog to somebody's house and aggravate the dog, if somebody doesn't like the dog, I wouldn't bring the dog back there again.
Well, the child was aggravating the dog, I think. And then the dog went to turn on the child. The granny intervened with her foot, obviously. And the dog bit the granny's leg and she got 5 stitches.
But we don't know if he would have attacked the young child or not unless the granny put her leg out.
He shouldn't
anyway, did they?
Well, the granny doesn't like the dog anyway, no.
Well, then, a dog has instincts. They know who they like.
Not granny, it's, mother-in-law, yeah.
Mother-in-law, mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number one, if the mother-in-law didn't like the dog, I wouldn't have near the mother-in-law, number one.
Okay.
And I wouldn't, I mean, a dog is a dog to me. A dog cannot speak, a dog, whatever.
Thanks for pointing out the obvious to get you on Mastermind.
Yeah, I know that. I know that myself.
Yeah,
but the
I'm
thing
just
is,
saying, like...
unless you aggravate a dog too much, of course they're a protector.
Yeah.
They're loyal.
Yeah.
Yes.
But here's the thing. The dog now has already bitten somebody, so we know the dog is capable of aggression. And it's a staff, so it's a pretty, they can be very strong dog if they bite. So, and obviously the poor woman got 5 stitches. She shouldn't have been bitten by the dog. So what happens if what happens if one of the kids pulls the dog's tail or sticks a toy up the dog's arse or something?
No, don't mind the dog's arse or anything. If that dog was in the house for 2 years with the children.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems he didn't bite on them kids before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all of a sudden the dog turned.
Yeah, but that's what happens.
So, yeah, that's what happens. So, I mean, a bark is worse than a bite, they say. But the thing is, unless you pull something...
I don't know, that's a bit of a cliche. But hold on, I'd rather have a dog bark at you than bite me. A bark is not worse than a bite. That's a cliche.
I know that, but the thing is, unless someone aggravates a dog, I'll aggravate them, I'll pull the tail, aggravate them.
But hang on.
Of course,
But you should be able to aggravate a dog, just like you should be able to aggravate a human being. Like, if you aggravate me, I'm not going to hit you, Patricia, or bite you. I just walk away from you.
I'm coming to you.
Yeah.
No,
and the dog should do the same. Should be trained.
Yeah, but some people are worse as what you're saying. They could do anything too.
Oh, yeah, they're scumbags.
But
I'd have them put down too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you put it outside and now the mother-in-law and the son and the husband are fighting over the dog, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
It doesn't make sense, logic, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put the dog down anyway.
You wouldn't put the dog down. So what would you do? Not talk to the mother-in-law anymore?
Well, let her stay in her own garden. If she wants that dog, she had no time for that dog all along. I wouldn't have the dog near her.
But she doesn't, like... She brings the dog with her everywhere.
From the word go. She took that dog from word go.
She hated the dog, yeah. She didn't like it. Because she thought it was dangerous.
So then, no, it's not that. She didn't like the dog from word go.
Personally, between me and you, Patricia, well, it's not really between me and you because thousands of people listen, but between me and you, I wouldn't buy a staff if I had children. Yeah, I think it was a grossly irresponsible thing to do in the first place, but however, each to their own, as they say. Yeah,
I agree. And some people get dogs and they can adopt to children. It varies how you bring them in, how you attach them, how you can separate them. Everyone to their own.
But you wouldn't have a staff around children. I'm just telling you, that's just.
I wouldn't have an Alsatian did on children.
No, I wouldn't have a dog that's powerful. You know, if you have little kids and you want to buy a dog, buy a little small Chihuahua or something harmless.
Jack Russell.
They might bite, but they're not going to kill you. Do you know what I mean?
Well, my dog doesn't bite, and she's a plastic dog, and she's a miniature.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, she could bite you.
But you won't, because she's by my side.
You don't know that.
It's not that good.
You don't know that. You don't know that. Dogs are unpredictable.
Yeah, like humans are unpredictable as well.
Absolutely.
But I'm just saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I know.
I mean, dogs are dogs. If that dog isn't there for the two years, and the mother-in-law didn't like the dog have instance. Yeah, then you shouldn't have put that dog into the mother-in-law at all from the beginning.
Yeah, but the difference is if a human being attacks you, you go to the guards and they get put in jail for assault. You can't punish a dog with jail.
I know that, but not all humans get away with it. They get away. A lot of people get away with it too.
Yeah. Well, hang on. Let me go to John Carmody, who is an animal rights campaigner, a good friend of the show. John.
Good evening, Niall.
Sort this one out, will you?
Well, Niall, here's the thing, and thanks for picking up on this, actually, because I don't think we talk about it very often, and it's becoming now a bit, it's becoming a bit of a head-scratcher that at this stage we still haven't learned, our lessons, and we still continue to point the finger at dogs who share our lives, and...
when they bite somebody, John, you have to kind of point the finger. You know what I mean?
No, I absolutely don't agree, Niall, and I think it becomes a bit frustrating when you hear these, I suppose, inverted commas arguments from your callers and people trying to get in on top of this, and they're all vying for the dog's death and to put the dog down.
No, in fairness, Deirdre, Patricia, neither of them has said that.
Yeah. We do that best. I think we're able to go for the throat, we're able to go for the gun, we're able to go for taking these animals out, and this is so heartbreaking. Now we're here again, and we're after hearing of another story of apparently a dog attacking, someone. But we don't ever stop for a minute to try and question, the history of, where this poor dog came from, the type of a life this poor dog had. Because I can tell you here and now, Niall, as a matter of fact, there's people walking our streets now that God love them have had a terrible upbringing. And many of them end up,
But John, hey, but hang on, right?
Attacking people.
Okay, let's say you were beaten up tomorrow. Yeah, but but John, hang on for a second. Let's say you were beaten up tomorrow and assaulted very badly on the streets of Limerick or whatever, right? And you're all over the news and you have black eyes and you have stitches all over your face. And I turned around to you and I say, oh yeah, they got the guy, but listen, he had a really bad upbringing. Would you care?
Well, it's, I'd have to, I care about the fact that we don't stop and think about, the lives these poor dogs have. And you can be sure of it, that if dogs are treated as part of their family, Niall, there's a very, very low risk of them actually attacking family members. And with good supervision and with good guardianship, these animals...
Couldn't agree with you more. But unfortunately...
A very positive part of our family.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, but unfortunately, this particular dog... The child, whatever the child was doing, I don't know if the child was annoying the dog or whatever. They're young children, they can do silly things sometimes, right? The granny stepped in to intervene, because she thought the dog was looking a little bit threatening towards the child, obviously. And the dog bit the granny on the leg, leaving her with 5 stitches and a lot of blood. You can't... So what happens the next time the child does something? Child's face is taken off.
And none of us want that, as a matter of fact. None of us want that for anyone. For yourself, myself, for anyone listening to the show. None of us want to be bitten. None of us want to be even in that position. But I think we, as animal rights campaigners, we've really and truly seen so much now that we know that a lot of the arguments that are put forward in these situations, while it's absolutely heartbreaking, don't prevent any of this happening. And we're hearing stories the whole time. But I would wish to God people would start taking a look at how we actually treat animals, because we have As I've said before, and I'll say it 1,000 times again, that we have chained them up, we've skinned them, we've hung them, we've chained them, we've wore them, we've eaten them, we've experimented on them, and we are still the very best at coming around with these lame excuses time and time again, Niall, and we're still hanging those poor creatures out to dry. God love them. When all they want to do is share their lives with ourselves.
But hang on, you're talking about the history. But hang on, you're being
and it doesn't matter if it's a dog, a pig,
okay, we'll come to that in a
or
second.
any other animal.
But you're talking about the history of the way animals have been treated, and I'm not going to deny all that. Okay, it's despicable. Okay, but John, let's focus on this particular story of Charlie. So Charlie is a 2-year-old staff.
I absolutely am.
He's been living in the house, in the comfort of the house for the last 2 years. He goes with them everywhere, obviously, because he goes over to the mother-in-law's house on a Sunday. So he goes everywhere with them, treated like a member of the family. He turned. John, dogs are unpredictable. And most vets will tell you, if a dog bites somebody, hasta la vista.
I just wish to God it wasn't like this, to be quite honest with you. And absolutely no one wants no one wants to be bitten. And I wish to God that wasn't the case as well. And I need your listeners to know that as a matter of fact. But I'd like to, if people could think of as to where we're trying to come from with this one, that we have seen time and time again so many instances of attacks, and no one has ever questioned the type of existence a lot of these dogs would have. For instance, miserable little dogs on their own, chained up outside in all weather extremes, the hail, the rain, the snow. And as I'm speaking with you right now, the sun is coming in on top of me, and these animals will be chained up as we go into the summer as well. They'll be treated horribly because a lot of the times their guardians and their owners couldn't give two hoots about their own lives. So those dogs aren't going to be treated any better, Niall. And as a result, those poor animals attack after a while. And deep down, if I can say this to you and your listeners as well right now, Niall, they don't want to attack. They don't want to go after the people that they're sharing their lives with. But they're driven to it a lot of the times, and it just doesn't have to be this way. It really and truly doesn't. Because I can tell you one thing, most of these animals, nearly all these animals, they're not out to get us. They're not out to take our homes. They're not out to rob our cars. They're not out to bite the hands and legs and faces off of us. And yes, there will be situations where that does happen, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. And I wish to God it didn't happen. But we need to question our treatment of these poor animals too, for sure.
Sorry,
John, I went on a rant there.
No, you're okay. But just you've been listening to what John says there, that he thinks, when we look at the way we've treated animals, that maybe the dog has a bit of a background. It doesn't suggest anything, but this dog was treated well in the email. So, and you have a lovely little dog there, but as I said to you already, you told me your dog won't bite you. You don't know that.
But then, if that's it, then why if people have dogs then, if that's the way they are? If people have a dog for 2 years in that house, and now the husband's putting outside the dog, it doesn't make sense. Logic, it doesn't make sense.
Well, the husband is worried. The husband is putting the dog outside now when she's not around because he's worried because it just bit his mother-in-law and she ended up in hospital.
But I just don't understand it. It was 2 years in that house. They knew exactly the mother-in-law didn't like that dog.
Yeah, but the mother-in-law doesn't. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant whether she likes the dog or not because the mother-in-law doesn't even live with them. So it's irrelevant. They just happen to be visiting the mother-in-law.
It just happened. How lucky.
But that's what people do. They visit their in-laws. Patricia, that's what people do.
How lucky that dog happened in the
Patricia, I can tell by your attitude you'd rather have the mother-in-law put down.
Well, I would.
Sorry, that's not even making any sense. Sorry, John, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say as well. I mean, if I never want to use the word trainers. I like to believe that we're all guardians of animals that we care for. But if we're clued in enough, if we're clued into the animals that are sharing our lives with us, we should be able to see their temperament. But there's absolutely a lot of things that to make a difference, I suppose, by kind of lessening the chances of a dog biting.
Yes, good training and teaching the children how to respect the dog and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, of course.
No, but we can't just dismiss it by saying all that kind of stuff because here we are and we're talking about a.
But John, but that's what you do when you take the responsibility of owning a dog when you've got young children, right? The most important thing is the child and the dog should never be in the same place at the same time with no supervision, right? That's number one. That goes without saying.
To make those important decisions.
But people don't do that. They should. John, why, firstly, I mean, I'm blaming this woman partly because why would you buy a Staff, which is a pretty powerful dog, when you've got young children? It's not a family pet. When the children are a bit older and more responsible, absolutely, that's perfectly fine. It's a nice dog. But it's not a family pet for young children.
You're listening to Nighttime Talk with Niall Boylan.
With Recruit.ie. Download our job search app today. Search for Recruit.ie in your smartphone app store.
Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.
Marianne, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. Marianne, what should happen to the dog?
Well, I think, the dog has done the damage now. He's with children in the house, I just think, maybe an option would be to maybe give the dog away to a safer environment. But the dog has been blooded. It's after biting a person. It's drawn blood. It could have been the child.
Could have been. Yeah.
It could have been the child, but an option would be to give it to a safe place where it might be when it's out and about, have a muzzle on or something like that. I love dogs, and I'd hate to see an animal being put down, but. You hear so many dreadful stories, especially with staffies, doing terrible damage to children, and killing them,
Well, yes, one bite in the wrong place, and that's the end of particularly a young child, you know what I mean? And it would be a very dangerous situation. I mean, look, I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, but it does sound like the child went to the dog, maybe annoyed the dog, I don't know. And then the mother-in-law saw that the dog was going to turn to the child, tried to get in between them, and the dog bit her instead. So, did she kick him? I don't know. I don't think she kicked him.
A family dog, Niall, if it's at home with kids, the kids should be able to pull and drag out of the dog and, be no risk really if you're having them around kids. That's what kids do by their nature. They're not they shouldn't have to be that responsible to know how, within reason.
Yeah, of course.
They shouldn't hurt animals and stuff, but, a small child isn't going to know its boundaries of what,
And what do you say to people who say it's not the dog's fault? You know what I mean? You can't be killing a dog or putting a dog asleep just because it bit somebody.
Well, it isn't, I suppose, it isn't the dog's fault in that they don't have a consciousness the same as we do. It's a reaction or an instinctual thing, and yes, but in that case, that type of breed of a dog should not be when there's a risk. And this dog, unfortunately, has displayed a tendency to actually bite someone, a human, and that's where the line has been crossed. It hasn't even snapped. It's actually given that lady 5 stitches.
Yeah, which is obviously a serious bite. Yeah.
It's a very serious bite, and even if that was a child, it could be a finger or a hand off a small child,
Yeah. Well, we'll stay there for a second. Let me go to Angelique as well. Angelique, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How are you doing, Angelique?
Hi there.
Good. Angelique, do you think the dog should be put to sleep?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I will quote what Cesar Milan, if you watch these kind of programs. I rehabilitate dogs and I train people. People might take offense of what I'm going to say, but most people are ignorant when it comes to animals. If you have an animal, you should know how to treat it, but unfortunately most people don't. And you certainly don't leave a child and a dog all on its own to be playing outside without supervision. It's my opinion, if a dog bites, it is the human's fault. End of story.
Always. Are you saying it's always the human's fault?
No, to me, it's the humans and people should take responsibility for the animals. The animal is not capable of arguing or having knowing what is right from wrong, in the sense that we, at that level, understanding what is always an appropriate behavior. But most animals will bite either because they are fearful or they're trying to protect themselves. And in your program, you said the woman kicked towards the dog. He was probably just protecting himself and being afraid in the position that he was placed with that child.
Okay, I don't know if she didn't use. Well, okay, I don't think she used the word kicked, but anyway, she said. Well, she did use the word kick, but I don't think she meant she kicked the dog. She said her youngest child was messing with the dog and annoying him, and he turned on her. And my mother-in-law went to grab the child, and in her stupidity, she kicked off the dog. Yeah.
Yeah. Children should not be left alone with, depending on age, and if they know how to behave.
But hang on, but with the greatest respect, Angelica, I've had dogs all my life, and I had dogs when I had very young children. And the dogs never snapped at the children, even though when they were very young, because you can't train a 2-year-old, it's very hard. They'd go over, they'd pull the dog's tail, they'd pull his hair, they'd sit on the dog's back, all of that stuff. But the dog was trained properly and the dog would never bite. But different dogs have different temperaments. Now, this dog if this dog has done this once, it'll do it again.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I personally, I think it's wrong to put a dog down. I think that if they are afraid, and if this husband is afraid that he will bite the kids again, then he needs to be rehabilitated and then given to a family, or not a family, an individual that are able to know the history of the dog and know how to deal with animals that have had those kind of incidences. It's not the animal's fault.
But sometimes, okay, I'm not saying in this dog's case, but there is a cliche, and I hate using it. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Sometimes, and I did speak to a dog trainer on the air going back many, many years ago, and he said some dogs, depending on the age of the dog, depending on the way the dog has been treated, some dogs, you just cannot retrain them.
Dogs will only bite for a reason.
It doesn't matter. I don't care. Human beings only kill each other for a reason. I don't care. Yeah. The point is, they still did it. It doesn't matter what. So what? So what's the reason? Okay, so a child pulls a dog's tail, and the dog bites the child. Are you going to blame the child?
If my child were to do that, he would be in trouble. I would never allow my child.
Okay, so your child has 12 stitches across their face. Well, hang on. Let me just ask you an honest question. Your child goes over 2 years of age, pulls the dog's tail or sticks his hand in the dog's arse or something, and the dog bites him and puts 12 stitches across the child's face. Are you going to blame the child? Are you going to say, "Oh, it doesn't matter, it's the child's fault"?
It would be my fault.
Oh. And would you get rid of the dog? And would you get rid of the dog?
No, it's not the dog's fault. I'm sorry.
So you'd keep the dog, would you? Yeah, that's marvellous. So if a dog you owned gave a child 12 stitches in their face, you'd keep the dog?
I grew up with animals all my life.
You're not answering the question I've asked you.
We're very small children, and I've always had animals.
That's great, and so did I, and that never happened to me either. But I'm just saying it does happen. Dogs are unpredictable.
But my mom trained or told us from an early age, there are things that you do and don't do. Like, for instance, you don't mess around with an animal or your dog or cat when they eat. There are
you should be able to.
That you shouldn't.
But hang on, if your dog is trained properly, your child should be able to go over and literally pull the bowl from under his mouth.
You know, even if they were trained to do that, I think it's irresponsible.
Of course it is. You should never do it. But I'm just saying your dog should be trained not to react in an aggressive manner if a child does that.
Yeah, but I can tell you now that people's dog has never undergone any training. I can tell you that now.
You don't know. You don't know them.
People just get sick and they have them around, but they never go through training or any kind of... People just... I mean, most people are irresponsible when it comes to dog or animal ownership. They don't know how.
Okay, well, hang on.
Around, but they don't know what they're
okay, well, hang on. Marianne, you've been listening to Angelique there. The last the last thing we should blame is the dog here. That's the last thing that should happen.
In the sense of the dog, I suppose, not having a conscience, and it doesn't mean to do it in that sense, but unfortunately, if the incident that we're talking about has happened, and if someone has been bitten and blood has been drawn, and there are children in the house, I would say to rehome the dog where and when it is and have a muzzle on it when it's out and about amongst other people, and that would be the absolute best that dog could hope for under the circumstances, and that's just my opinion. I would hate to have to put any animal down. I've had Alsatians where they chased a cow and they bit a cow in years gone by, and I had to rehome the dogs. I mean, I was biting another animal, which I didn't think was acceptable,
Yeah.
And I loved my dogs, and I had to separate them, and I had the fencing done, and I had them trained, and it just
other dogs took them running, and they just went.
I mean, we have to accept that dogs are animals. They're wild animals that we've domesticated. They're still, they're still pack hunters. So dogs are animals, and we seem to forget that sometimes. You know what I mean? Because we've domesticated them, that we're all nice to them, and they're all nice to us. But stay there for a second. Let me go to Aoife as well. Aoife, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Aoife?
Hi.
How you doing?
Long time no talk.
Oh, it's been a while, Aoife. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Bit of a noisy car going on there, but however, we could deal with that.
Are you sure you can?
Well, yeah, provided you talk into the phone, but go on.
Can you hear me properly now?
Just about, but go on.
Go on with what?
Should the dog be put to sleep, Aoife?
No.
Why?
No, you know my opinion on this.
Because you've got two staffies.
Well, I would.
One, sorry, yeah.
I have a staffy and a Frenchie.
Right, okay.
Now,
Frenchies are nice.
No, I'd rather 10 staffies over Frenchies, believe me.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a staffy near children, but that's just my personal view. And I personally believe anybody who has kids and has a staffy is irresponsible, but that's just a personal view.
Don't get me wrong, right? Ross's niece is 3 now, and we got Lexi when she was just 1. And obviously she was Lexi was a pup at the time, so she wasn't really paying much attention. She just looked like a ball of fluff. But from the get-go, now I would never leave the room and leave Lexi or the Frenchie unattended with Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
No, of course you wouldn't. That's because that's responsible.
Even though I trust that they wouldn't, but you see, the thing with Lexi, right, she's also 2, so I understand where this lady's coming from. Staffies, they don't understand their own strength. She's really strong. At one stage, I had 34 bruises on my thighs just from her jumping up at me.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, they don't get their own strength. They are really friendly, and they just want to greet everyone that they see, but they do jump up on people, regardless whether it's a kid, whether it's an adult, whether it's an elder. She will try and jump up.
Yeah, but you look at this particular story. Now, obviously, the child was a young child, young girl. If this dog had not have bit the mother-in-law, it probably would have bit the child. Now, you can imagine a staff with a little child, if it hit their face or bit their face. Now, I'm not saying the child wasn't annoying the dog. The child probably was annoying the dog, but that's irrelevant. Because if you're going to have an animal and you have young children, you have to accept that could happen. Because you cannot be there every second of every minute of every day. There is going to be opportunities where the two will be in the same room, unattended for a moment while you're at the kitchen sink or something. Do you understand what I'm saying? Unless you...
Exactly.
Yes.
No, I do, 100%.
Yeah. So, I mean, firstly, that goes back to what I originally said. Buying a staff or getting a staffy when you've got young children is irresponsible. And anybody who does it is irresponsible. If you want to get a little dog that won't do too much damage if it does bite. Because all dogs are unpredictable. All of them.
No, they are. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, Angelique doesn't agree. She thinks all dogs can be trusted if they're trained properly.
They are unpredictable, don't get me wrong, but it is down to training a lot of it.
Absolutely. But you could be the best trainer in the world and have the best trained dog in the world, and then they, at an opportunity, they bite. Yeah.
No, it could, yeah, 100%. Well, even, there was a while there, only recently, we were staying in Ross's mum for a few days because we had work getting done on the house. Because we had a leak when it was all that snow and all that, right? So we had burst pipes, so we were staying at his mum for a while, so obviously we had the dogs. But now Robin loves them, she is mad about them. But there is often stages where she'd sit down on their bed beside them, right? But I'd be sitting at the kitchen table looking at them. Ross can even tell you, I wouldn't leave the kitchen at all. They'd all be even calling me, oh, come on into the sitting room, whatever. I go, no, I'm not while
the dog and the child are together, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I wouldn't settle at all. I was so uncomfortable because I was on edge. So even though I trusted my dog, Robin would sit in the bed with them and say she'd be pulling at their ear or trying to sit at her back, and I would say, look, just be careful. I said, don't do that in case she might get angry and she could bite you, and you don't want her to bite you. And she kind of was looking at me.
Okay, well, I'm glad you hear. I'm glad you understand the principle of the whole thing, because Angelique, I think you're missing the principle. For your love of dogs, you're missing the principle, and the principle is no dog can be trusted. No dog.
No.
Well, sorry, Angelique. Hang on, Angelique, are you still there?
No, I would not. I can't agree with that. I would. No.
So you trust every dog can be trusted? You believe, yeah?
No.
If you train them properly.
Each animal has their own personality. That's also one of the things you have to keep in mind as well.
Angelique, in your passion and your love for dogs, which I admire greatly, you are delusional. If you think that, any dog that you train, or that if you've trained a dog well enough and they're so well behaved that you can trust them. You can never trust any dog. They're like human beings. They're unpredictable.
Can I tell you this?
Hang on.
More than people.
Sorry, you trust dogs more than people? Well, there you go.
Sorry, I trust dogs more than people.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong. I
don't know what
trust
sort of
dogs more than people with my secrets, all right. But
with your secrets, because they can't talk. But the fact that you say that you trust dogs more than people, every person in your life, Angelica, you trust dogs more than every person in your life.
No, because I can tell you, you're more likely
that's a silly
to be
statement,
by a
Angelique.
person than ever be bitten by a dog.
Oh. No, you're not.
Well, Angelique,
hold on a second. You're more likely to be murdered by a person than you would to be bitten by a dog. Where did you get that statistic from?
That's my opinion.
It's not. Well, your opinion is not correct. I mean, statistically, you're completely incorrect. You are not more likely to be murdered than be bitten by a dog. Thankfully. People get bitten by dogs every single day of the week. People don't get murdered every single day of the week, thankfully.
And the murder rate all over the world?
I'm talking about Ireland. Let's stick to the country we're living in, all right? There isn't 365 people murdered every single day. There's at least 365 people bitten every day. Thankfully, most of the bites aren't too bad. That's a stupid thing to say, Angelique. You're coming out with nonsense now. You trust dogs more than you do people, so I don't know what sort of people you've had in your life. There is some bad people in the world, but they're not all bad.
Yeah, and I'm saying to you that I don't agree that the animal should be put down, and one should take every case by case, and the animal should be rehabilitated and housed with someone else.
Sorry, go ahead, Eva.
Removing a dog that has bit a child or whatever and bringing it to another home, it's just going to make that dog feel more abandoned and have more behavioural issues because it's getting swapped house to house.
I mean, the dog might be suitable for somebody, maybe an old guy lives on his own who can handle the dog, and one-to-one basis, but not around children. Clearly, the dog is unpredictable. I don't care what sort of training you give it. It's unpredictable. And that's fine. I'm not suggesting... She's suggesting, by the way, that the mother-in-law wants the dog put down, which is the mother-in-law's prerogative in this situation. But in saying that, I'm not suggesting it should be put down. But it shouldn't be with this family. That's for sure.
Like you there, with that situation with Robin. The two dogs, they're trained to an absolute T. They listen to your command first time, every time. You still had in the back of your mind that anything could happen.
No.
Of course.
It's like even with me, right? I was only saying that to Ross. I was like, if someone was pulling my hair or poking me, I'd snap as well. But it's still not okay.
Ross would have you put down in a heartbeat. Sorry, I'm joking.
Legal injection at the ready, Niall. It's there and all.
Okay, well, stay there, both of you, for a second, because it's a bit noisy in your car there. You must have got a new car, Ross. Let me just go to Maggie as well. Maggie, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Maggie?
Hi, how are you?
Wake up, Maggie. I think I've got something to say to you. Sorry.
That wouldn't be the first time that's been told to me.
Sorry, I just couldn't resist it. Maggie, I mean, what should happen in this situation?
So I was bitten by a German Shepherd when I was living in Australia. I was, I suppose, working in a door-to-door job. So I checked first. There was no sign. I whistled. I called for a dog. No dog came until, of course, I got to the door and the dog, appeared out of nowhere and went for me. In that instance, I didn't ask for the dog to be put down. I felt I was in the dog's yard. I'm in the dog space. The dog, it doesn't have a voice. It's trying to protect its area. I'm a big animal lover. I mean, I just asked simply for a warning sign to be put up and a lock to be put on the gate to prevent that from happening again.
Yeah.
In that instance. As much of an animal lover as I am, I would say you can't trust any dog. It doesn't matter what breed it is.
Angelique
really doesn't.
Angelique can trust every dog.
But you know what? Everyone will have their own opinion. And to be honest, there's no wrong opinion. It's their personal opinion.
Well, there is a wrong opinion when it puts people at risk. Of course there's a wrong opinion. The wrong opinion is that you can trust a dog. You can't trust a dog. No matter how good your dog
you can't
is.
trust any dog, you know. But, I mean, kids, along with adults, should be taught how to respect animals and learn boundaries. You know, in this instance, the dog felt obviously threatened. The kid was at it. There's a leg going at it. I mean, I would have bitten the mother-in-law's leg myself if she came at me, to be honest. I will also say sometimes if a dog bites, not in this situation, you know, but it may have an underlying condition if a dog's temperament changes. I would certainly never leave a dog alone with its choice. That's just my opinion because, as I said, I don't think you can trust any dog. But dogs, you know, even the most domesticated dogs, no matter how nice they are, they will feel threatened. You know, people do need to learn, I think some said it earlier, they need to learn a dog's body language. You know, we have a family dog, a Labrador, but we know when he's anxious and the kids aren't allowed to touch him. They don't pull and drag at him. They're not allowed to do that.
No, and children need to be taught how to behave around animals. Absolutely. But unfortunately, when you have a 2-year-old, sometimes they don't always listen to you. To be fair, would you stay there because I've got a minute and I want to get to Billy and squeeze him in quickly because he's waiting ages. Sorry, Billy, I've only got 1 minute. I do apologise.
Sure, no, look, you know what I'm going to say. I'm a big dog fan.
Yeah, I know you're a big dog fan. So, I mean, what are you going to say? The dog should be rehomed, I imagine.
I think, look, yeah, pretty much now. Like,
I don't disagree with that, by the way.
Like, if the dog's bitten someone, it's definitely not in the right environment. There's something in that environment that set the dog off, as the last lady said.
Probably the child.
Well, probably, but like, as the last lady said, dogs will react to things. As you would if someone came pulling your head, or I heard you saying putting things up people's arses or dogs' arses earlier on. If someone tried to put something up your arse, I'm sure you would react in a violent way.
Unless they talk dirty to me first, yeah. I'm joking. So
whatever you and Karen get up to in your own time, that's down to you. Anyway, but for the dog reacts to the situation, and you're right. Dogs, they are reactive. But they do give warning signals before they act. So they will growl. They will show their teeth, their heckles will go up. It's watching for that body language.
And you know what? I don't blame the dog. I'm really not blaming the dog. People think I am.
The dog's not at fault here.
But dogs
put
generally,
the dog in that situation.
But what I've said earlier on, dogs are unpredictable. All dogs are unpredictable. Your dogs.
People are unpredictable.
Yeah. What?
You know, people are unpredictable.
Oh no, I know that. Yeah, I absolutely know that.
You know, everything's unpredictable. Like I trust my dog more than I trust kids because at least I have some level of control over my dog. Like if a kid comes up to my dog and says, "Can I pet your dog?" It's like, no. It's not because of my dog. It's because of the kid. I don't know if the kid's going to put his finger in my dog's eye. I don't know. I don't want to take that risk.
Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.